You just snapped again. Maybe it was your kid. Maybe it was your partner. Maybe it was a stranger on the internet at 11:47 p.m. And you knew, even as your thumb hit send, that you shouldn't have sent it. But you sent it anyway. And now you're sitting in the quiet. The screen is dark, the house is still, and that little acid taste is in the back of your throat. Shame, regret, the specific loneliness of knowing you were the problem tonight. Welcome back to Proverb Journey. Tonight, 3 men who knew this exact feeling and what each of them did about it. Moses, Seneca, the Buddha. Stay till the end. The answer isn't what you think. Let's start with Moses.
Moses didn't lose his temper once, he lost it across a lifetime. The first time we meet adult Moses, he's 40 years old, raised as Egyptian royalty, and he sees an Egyptian beating a Hebrew slave. Exodus chapter 2. He looks left, he looks right, he kills the Egyptian and buries him in the sand. That one loss of control cost him everything. Pharaoh finds out. Moses flees into the wilderness. 40 years as a shepherd in Midian. 40 years of exile because of a single unchecked moment of rage. Then comes the burning bush, the plagues, the Red Sea. Moses leads an entire people out of slavery. He climbs Sinai, he receives the 10 Commandments. He parents a nation through the desert. 40 more years of patience. 40 years of God speaking to him like a friend. And then, Numbers chapter 20. His sister Miriam has just died. He's grieving, and the people do what they always do. They complain. About water. Again. God gives him a simple instruction: take the rod, gather the people, speak to the rock, not strike it, speak to it. And Moses, grieving, exhausted, decades of pent-up frustration with these people, raises the rod and hits the rock, twice. The water comes out, the people drink. The miracle still happens. But God tells him, because you did not trust me, because you did not honor me in front of them, you will not enter the land. 40 years of leading, and the man who parted the Red Sea dies on a mountain, looking across a valley he will never walk into, because of one angry swing.
Now compare this to Jesus in Mark chapter 11.
He walks into the temple, flips the tables of the money changers, drives them out with a whip of cords. This is rage. This is fire, and the Bible doesn't condemn it. Because this anger was controlled, directed, pointed at injustice, not at people complaining about water.
The Greeks called it thumos, righteous heat. The fire you aim, not the fire that aims you. Moses struck the rock because he was tired of the people. Jesus flipped the tables because he loved the people being robbed. Same emotion, different master. The fire you control can cleanse a temple. The fire that controls you can cost you a kingdom. Now Seneca.
Lucius Annaeus Seneca was born in Cordoba, Spain, around 4 BCE. He was tutor to the Emperor Nero. He watched Rome burn. He watched his students become monsters. And eventually, Nero ordered him to kill himself, which he did calmly in a bath. Seneca wrote a book, 3 books actually, on anger, De Ira. He wrote it for his older brother Novatus, who had asked him, "How do I stop losing my temper?" What Seneca produced is still, 2,000 years later, the single best written work on human rage. In Book 3, Chapter 36, he gives Novatus the prescription. Listen to this. The mind ought to be summoned every day to give an account of itself. When the day was over and he had retired to his nightly rest, he would ask his mind, "What bad habit of yours have you cured today? What vice have you resisted? In what respect are you better?" Anger will cease and become more controllable if it finds that it must appear before a judge every day. That's it. That's the entire remedy, a nightly audit. Earlier in the book, chapter 12, Seneca says something even simpler. The greatest remedy for anger is delay. Wait. Just wait. The you who responds tomorrow morning is not the you who wanted to respond tonight. Marcus Aurelius, a generation later, was reading Seneca. In his Meditations, Book 11, he writes 10 separate points on how to handle anger. Remember, we are all connected. Remember, the person who angered you is also suffering. Remember, you have done the same thing to others. Anger, Marcus wrote, costs more than the thing that caused it.
Seneca's genius wasn't the insight. The insight was old. His genius was the ritual, a single question asked every night in the dark before sleep. What anger did I feed today? Not, did I get angry? Everyone gets angry. The question is, what did I feed? Did I feed it by replaying the argument in my head for an hour? Did I feed it by drafting a response I didn't send? Did I feed it by telling a friend the story of how wronged I was, with just a little more venom than last time? Anger is a fire that lives on oxygen. The oxygen is your attention. Stop feeding it at night in silence before sleep, and it will starve. And now, the Buddha. Siddhartha Gautama was born a prince in what is now Nepal, about 2,500 years ago. At 29, he left his palace. He saw old age, sickness, death, and a wandering monk. He spent 6 years in the forest. He sat under a tree. He woke up. Everything he taught was preserved in the Pali Canon, a massive body of texts in the ancient Pali language, written down by his followers after his death. One of those texts is the Dhammapada, the Path of Truth, 423 short verses, the most quoted Buddhist text in the world. And here's where we have to be honest with each other. You have probably heard the line, holding anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It's everywhere. It's on coffee mugs. It's on meditation apps. The Buddha never said that. That exact phrasing is a modern paraphrase, likely 20th century, likely Western, passed through a dozen retellings before it landed on your feed. But here's what does appear, Dhammapada verse 5, and it is more beautiful than the paraphrase. Hatred is never appeased by hatred in this world. By non-hatred alone is hatred appeased. This is a law eternal. That's the canonical line. That's what the Buddha actually taught. And then verse 201, victory breeds hatred. The defeated live in pain. Happily live those who have given up both victory and defeat. Read that again. Victory breeds hatred. The person who wins the argument, who sends the devastating reply, who gets the last word, has planted a seed that grows into more hatred. You win the fight, you lose the peace. The Buddha saw that 2,500 years ago, and we still haven't learned it. And then there's Rumi, 13th century Persian Sufi mystic. Writing 1,000 years after the Buddha, on the other side of the world, he arrives at the same place. Raise your words, not your voice. It is rain that grows flowers, not thunder. You think you need thunder to be heard. You don't. You need rain. Quiet, steady, patient. Rain grows the flower. Thunder just scares it. So, 3 men, same fire, 3 different answers. Let's pull it together. Moses gives you the stakes. One unchecked swing, after 40 years of obedience, cost him the promised land. Whatever you've built, your marriage, your kids' trust, your reputation at work, one swing can crack it. Seneca gives you the ritual. Every night before sleep, one question. What anger did I feed today? The Buddha gives you the reframe. Hatred doesn't stop hatred. The only response that works is its opposite. Active, chosen, practice kindness. Rain, not thunder. Here's what you do tonight. 1. The 10-second pause. Before you send the DM, the text, the comment, count to 10. That's the gap where Moses lost his kingdom. Put something in it. 2. The nightly audit. Before you sleep, phone down, lights off, ask the Seneca question. What anger did I feed today? Don't fix it, just notice it. 3. The reply, not react rule. Sleep on the response. Draft it, don't send it. Tomorrow you will thank tonight you. The pause is the prayer. If this helped, if you've been that person sitting in the quiet with the screen still glowing, subscribe. We do this every Sunday. 3 ancient voices, 1 modern problem. 60 seconds for the short, 10 minutes for the full weave. Next week, we go into shame, the cousin of anger, the one you feel after. And after that, doubt, the voice in the dark that asks if any of this is real. The playlist is linked below. 3 men, same answer. Until then, one last thing. What anger will you feed tonight? Notice it, name it, and let it starve. The pause is the prayer. See you